The Galactic Council's chamber was never quiet. Hundreds of alien voices argued at once, filling the huge silver hall with noise. The glowing ceiling displayed a map of the galaxy, trade routes, military lines, colonies, but today, something strange happened. In the middle of an argument about human expansion, one of the communication screens flickered, then another, and another. One by one, the star systems of Sol, humanity's home, went dark on the map. No signal, no movement. At first no one noticed. The council was too busy shouting at each other. But an old admiral's skin like cracked stone narrowed his eyes. "Silence," he said. The voices slowly faded. Everyone turned to the map. The bright blue lines that marked human trade convoys were gone. The red military markers gone. The soft green beacon of Earth dark. "Is this a technical error?" one delegate asked, his voice shaking. A technician tapped the controls, checking data feeds from deep space relays. "No, counselor. This is real. But Earth is gone from the network." The room filled with a different kind of noise. Whispers. Some looked confused. Others smiled. And then, the leader of the council, a tall insectoid named Varric, stood up. His sharp mandibles clicked in a satisfied rhythm. Finally, he said, "The humans have left. Perhaps they understood they have no place here." A cheer went through part of the hall. For decades, humanity had been difficult, too unpredictable, too stubborn. They refused to bow to the council's authority. They made friends with some races, enemies with others, so they interfered where they were not wanted. Now it seemed they were gone. But the old admiral did not cheer. He leaned forward in his seat, his stone-like face unreadable. "If they have gone," he said softly, "then they have already decided." The council ignored him. For the next hour, delegates celebrated. They passed new trade laws without worrying about human opinion, talked about dividing human-claimed sectors among themselves. Ships were already being sent to secure abandoned human outposts, but far away in the cold edge of council space. Something strange happened. A patrol fleet approached an old mining station, one that humans had built decades ago and later abandoned. The station floated in silence, lights off, no power. The captain ordered a boarding party inside. The halls were empty. No signs of life. The control room was covered in dust. But in the heart of the station, deep in the storage bays, they found devices, human-made, still running. No one could tell what they did. They gave off no energy readings the scanners could understand. They didn't hum or glow. They simply existed, silent, waiting. The patrol captain sent a report to the council. The reply came back hours later. "Destroy them. They are relics." "Nothing more?" The patrol obeyed. The devices shattered easily under pulse fire. But the moment the last one broke, every ship in the fleet lost power for exactly 3 seconds. When the lights returned, the navigation logs showed a course correction. They had moved just a few hundred meters, but they had moved without engines. When the captain tried to report this to the council, the transmission jammed, not by accident, but as if something else was using their comes back in the council chamber. The celebration continued. Some joked about renaming the Sol sector. Others laughed about how primitive humans must have been to simply vanish. Only the old admiral kept silent, his mind turning over memories. He remembered something from decades ago, during a rare joint operation with human fleets. A human officer had told him, "If we ever go quiet, that's when you should be afraid." The next day, reports began to arrive. A merchant convoy in the distant Perthus belt had gone missing. No distress signal, no wreckage. A defense outpost on the fringe sent a single short message before going dark. "They are here, but when rescue." Ships arrived. The outpost was untouched. No battle damage, no bodies. The power was still on, but the crew was gone. Every single one. The council began to argue again. Pirates, rebels, maybe an unknown predator. But the old admiral sat in silence. He knew what they wouldn't admit. The humans hadn't run away. They hadn't abandoned their space. They were moving. watching, preparing. And if history was any guide, when humanity prepared for something, the galaxy should start praying. The Admiral looked at the dark patch on the star map where Earth used to be. His voice was barely a whisper, but the technician next to him heard every word. They didn't leave us in peace. They left us to our fate. We're far beyond the Council's reach, in the endless black. The humans were already at work. The patrol ship, Drathan's Eye, drifted through the empty void near the Zareth Nebula. It was a routine border watch. Long hours, empty space, nothing to see. The crew was bored. Some played cards, others stared at the starfield, but then the comms officer froze. A faint sound came through her headset. At first it was just static, soft, harmless noise. But then the static shaped itself into words. Not alien, it's not council code, a voice. "We see you." She ripped the headset off. "Captain, you need to hear this." The captain, a tall green-scaled reptilian, put the headset on. The static was gone. Only silence remained. "Source?" he asked. "Impossible to tell," the comms officer whispered. It was everywhere at once, before the captain could reply. The ship's lights flickered. The hum of the engines fell silent. The crew felt the deck tremble as if something massive had passed by. Every console went black. 3 seconds later, the lights returned. The engines restarted.
But when?
The captain checked the external cameras. His blood ran cold. A ship floated just ahead of them. It was black. Not painted black, it was black, like it swallowed the light around it. The shape was unmistakable. Human design, but sleeker. Predatory. No running lights. No visible weapons. "Identify yourself," the captain shouted into the Psalms. "No." Answered. The black ship drifted closer, silent, until it passed them, and then it was gone. It didn't accelerate, didn't warp. It simply vanished from the sensors, as if it had never been there. Hours later, in the council chamber, the captain's report was met with laughter. "Another ghost story," one delegate scoffed. "Space madness." But the old admiral did not laugh. He leaned forward. "What did the voice say?" The captain's scaled hands trembled. It said, "We see you." The room fell quiet. Over the next weeks, more reports came. A freighter captain swore he saw a shadow moving inside his ship's cargo bay, but when he checked, nothing was there. A border outposts, sensor logs, showed dozens of ships moving past. But the naked eye saw nothing, and always there was the same whisper. "We see you." Far from the council's center, a team of alien scientists studied the strange human devices recovered from abandoned stations. One young researcher, Tal, discovered something terrifying. "They aren't weapons," she told her superior. "They are markers." "Markers for what?" he asked. She hesitated. "For us, they track movement. We've been mapping council space for decades." The superior laughed it off. "Humans have been gone for years. This is old junk." But that night, Tal woke to find her lab completely dark. The only light came from one of the human devices, glowing faintly for the first time. It pulsed in a slow rhythm like a heartbeat. The next morning, the device was gone. No sign of a break-in, no security footage. On the edge of the Myrith sector, a salvage crew stumbled upon something that froze their blood. A massive warship drifted in the void. It was human-built. Its name, Vigilant Dawn, was still painted on the hull. The ship had no crew, no life signs, no damage. Everything inside was neat, clean, but there were no logs after a certain date. That date was the same day Earth went dark. In the armory, every weapon was loaded, every missile primed, every defense turret powered. It was as if the crew had simply vanished mid-duty, and the ship had been left waiting. The salvage captain contacted the council. But before help could arrive, the Vigilant Dawn powered up on its own. The crew barely escaped as the ship's engines roared to life. It didn't attack. It simply turned and jumped into hyperspace without coordinates. In the council chamber, fear began to replace arrogance, as the delegates argued in hushed voices. What if they never left? What if they've been here the whole time? The old admiral finally spoke. "You are asking the wrong question. The right one is, what are they waiting for? His words were met with silence, because across the galaxy, ships, stations, and planets all began to receive the same short, simple message. No image, no signature, just 2 words. We're ready. The warning came without sound. At the far edge of the Rovran defense line, the most heavily guarded border in the Galactic Council, every long-range sensor went black at the same moment. No explosion, no hacking alert, just silence. Admiral Kurith of the Council fleet stood on the bridge of the battleship Crown of Stars. His crew was frantic, scrambling to reboot the defense grid. "What is the source?" Kurith demanded. "Unknown, Admiral. It's like the data was never there." Then, one of the junior officers pointed at the main viewport. His voice shook. "Contact. Multiple contacts." Shapes emerged from the void. Dozens, no, hundreds. They did not broadcast identification codes. They did not answer hails. But their designs were unmistakable. Human ships only. Different, sharper, sleeker, like predators that had been waiting too long for the hunt. Kurith ordered the comms officer to open a wideband channel. "This is Admiral Kurith of the Galactic Council. Identify yourselves or be fired upon."
4.
A moment, there was only static. Then a human voice replied, calm, cold. "You thought we left? We were waiting." Before Kurith could respond, the defense satellites began to explode one by one. No weapons fire was detected, no missile trails, no energy spikes. They simply failed. The council chamber went into chaos. The feed from the Ravaran line showed human ships moving like shadows, weaving through the council's largest fleet as if the battleships were made of glass. One delegate screamed for immediate retaliation. Another shouted for negotiations. Old Admiral, seated in the corner, only whispered, "It's too late for either." On the battlefield, Admiral Kurith ordered all ships to fire. The Crown of Stars unleashed a full barrage of plasma fire, enough to shred a small moon. The human ships moved, not fast. Precise, their paths seemed to already know where every shot would land. They slipped between explosions, leaving the Council's fleet firing at empty space. 1. Council destroyer managed to land a hit on a smaller human craft, but the moment the shot connected, the destroyer's weapons went dead. Its engines failed. The ship drifted powerless until it was gently pushed away by an invisible force. Not destroyed, not boarded, just removed. Back at the Council's intelligence center, data analysts pored over intercepted signals from the human fleet. They found no tactical chatter, no targeting orders, no battle commands, only a repeating phrase in human language, sealing the door. Hours later, 3 Council systems had fallen, not in flames, but in silence. The human fleets entered, disabled every military and communication. System then left without touching the planets themselves. Citizens on those worlds reported strange lights in the sky at night, forming patterns no one could identify. In some places, the lights moved in straight lines, connecting stars together like marks on a map. In the council chamber, panic began to set in. "What are they doing?" a delegate demanded. "They're cutting us apart," said another. "They're marking us for destruction," suggested a third. The old admiral shook his head. "No, they are not here to conquer us." "Then what?" Someone shouted. He looked up at the dark section of the galactic map, the Sol sector, and spoke the words no one wanted to hear. "They are preparing for something, and whatever it is not us." That night, in the quiet space over the desert moon of Karithfor, a council scout ship followed one of the retreating human craft. It expected a hidden base or weapons depot. Instead, the scout discovered a massive structure floating beyond known space, a perfect ring, hundreds of kilometers wide, glowing faintly with a light that didn't match any known element. Hundreds of human ships moved around it like worker insects building a hive. The scout captain tried to send images back to the council, but his systems jammed. A human voice came over his comms, calm, unhurried. "You're not ready for what's coming." The next second, the scout ship found itself back in Council space, its navigation records completely erased. In the Council chamber, the galactic map updated again. The Sol sector was still dark, but now a second dark patch appeared, larger, expanding, for the first time in centuries. The Galactic Council realized they were not in control. Humanity had returned, and they weren't here for revenge. They were here for something far worse. Began with a single jump lane collapsing. The trade route between Kethros and Vern Prime was one of the busiest in the galaxy. Thousands of ships used it every week. But one morning, navigators reported a strange reading. The lane was there, but it would not open. Warp gates refused to activate. Ships that tried to force entry simply bounced back like they had hit an invisible wall. At first, the Galactic Council thought it was a technical failure. Engineers were sent, scanners deployed, but nothing they did could restart the lane. Then another lane failed, another. By the end of the week, 9 major warp connections had gone dark. The Council called an emergency meeting. The great chamber was filled with shouting, "This is sabotage. It's an accident. It's the humans." The old admiral sat silently watching the galaxy map. The sealed lanes were not random. They formed a pattern. When the Council demanded an answer, he finally spoke. "They're not destroying our galaxy. They're locking it." On the edge of the Ivorin cluster, a border fleet spotted something massive. At first they thought it was a station. But as they got closer, they saw it was moving slowly, silently. It was a black ring, hundreds of kilometers wide. With human ships swarming around it, the fleet sent a hail. There's no answer. They tried to approach, but before they reached it, every system on their ships failed at once. Lights out. Engines dead. When power returned, they were hundreds of kilometers away, and the ring was gone. Across the galaxy, similar reports came in. Massive black gates appearing at the edges of known space. Human fleets appearing without warning, planting strange devices near warp lanes. Entire sectors vanishing from navigation. Charts replaced with access-denied errors. And yet, were no attacks on civilian worlds, no destruction of cities. No mass killings. The humans were not conquering. They were isolating. In the laboratories of Telvar Prime, scientists named Al Rin worked on decoding the strange human transmissions intercepted during the last battles. For weeks, he'd heard the same phrase repeated, "sealing the door." Finally, he cracked part of the encryption. It wasn't a metaphor, it was literal. The humans were sealing the galaxy from the outside. The Council still refused to believe it. They sent spies. One spy ship managed to follow a human patrol into uncharted space. What they found was not a fleet, but construction. Dozens of gigantic structures floated between the stars, linked by thin threads of light. Some were still incomplete. Others hummed with silent power. The spy captain tried to scan them. His systems instantly crashed, and a human voice came through in perfect Council standard. "Do not follow us. This is not your fight." When the spy ship limped home, its databanks were completely empty, except for one file. It was a message. Old, dated centuries back. In human voice, "We are locking you inside so what's coming can't escape." The chamber fell silent. When the message was played, "What is coming?" one delegate asked. No one answered. The old admiral spoke at last. "They're preparing for war, but not with us. The question is, will we be on the inside when it begins?" 2 days later, the sky over the Council's capital world changed. A formation of lights appeared, hundreds of points moving in straight lines, connecting into a vast shape. The astronomers gasped. It was a map, a star map of the galaxy. Vree. Sealed warplane was glowing red. Every open lane was blinking yellow, and the map was slowly, steadily turning red dot. By then, half the galaxy's outer rim was cut off. Civilian freighters were stranded. Border colonies lost all contact. The Council began to panic, sending fleets to force open the blockades. But wherever they went, the humans were already there, not to fight, but to stand in the way. One Council captain, desperate to break through, charged a human blockade. His ship fired every weapon it had. The humans did not fire back. Instead, they sent a single transmission as the Council ship's systems failed and its engines died. You are safer inside. By the end of the month, the galaxy was no longer a free space. It was a cage, and the humans held the key. The galaxy was silent. Trade lanes were closed. Warp gates refused to open. Entire sectors of space had vanished from navigation charts, dotted everywhere. Human ships moved like shadows, never staying long, never explaining, never firing, unless forced. The Galactic Council was no longer in control. In the Grand Chamber, the delegates shouted over one another. They're strangling our worlds, they're protecting something, they're planning an invasion. The old admiral said nothing. His eyes were fixed on the galaxy map. Almost every outer rim lane was now marked in red, sealed. The pattern was closing inward like a tightening fist. That night, without warning, every comm system in the galaxy activated at once. It didn't matter if you were on a council world, a mining station, or a ship drifting in the void. The message came through. A human stood in the projection, tall, calm, dressed not in armor, but in a simple black uniform with no markings. His voice was steady, almost tired. We did not leave because of you. Across the galaxy, millions stopped to listen. We left because something was coming. Something you would not believe if we told you. We tried. You laughed. You ignored the warnings. So we prepared without you. The projection shifted. The stars behind the human dissolved into a swirling darkness. Not a shadow, not space, but something moving. A shape so vast it swallowed light. It consumes galaxies. Not worlds, not ships, entire galaxies. It feeds on stars, leaves nothing alive. The council chamber froze in shock. The human continued. We found its path centuries ago. We knew where it would strike next. We knew it would reach here. And we knew you would never be ready. The image changed again, showing the black gates, the sealed lanes, strange rings at the galaxy's edge. We are building a wall, a prison. If we succeed, it will never get inside. If we fail, then you will see it with your own eyes. One delegate shouted over the projection, then let us fight with you. The human looked directly at the camera. No, you cannot fight. Not yet. Your fleets, your weapons, they would burn like paper in a star's wind. We seal the galaxy to protect you and to trap it outside. Suddenly, every display in the council chamber flickered. A new image appeared. The edge of the galaxy, one of the sealed gates was glowing. Too brightly, the human's tone darkened. It's here. At the border of the Krith expanse, the impossible happened. Sensors detected a wave of darkness moving between the stars. Not a fleet, not a cloud, but a living thing. It was bigger than a system, faster than light, and its arrival shattered the first human gate. Council fleets scrambled to intercept. They never returned. The Council screamed for humanity to open the lanes. Let them join the fight. And for the first time, human fleets did open a path, not into safety, but into war. Thousands of black human warships poured through there, hulls glowing with strange light. They formed a wall between the Predator and the galaxy, firing weapons the Council had never seen, beams that tore holes in reality, missiles that vanished and reappeared inside the enemy. From the Council's capital world, the delegates watched the live feed. The battle was beyond anything they could understand, and for the first time, they realized humanity had not abandoned them. They had been standing guard in the dark, waiting for this day. Hours later, the Predator was pushed back. The humans resealed the broken gate, welding it shut with energy that looked like burning starlight. The same human from the first message appeared again. His voice was softer now. We are not your rulers. We are not your conquerors. We are your shield. But shields break. The ones they protect, strike them. Paused, then added, remember that. The feed went dark. In the council chamber, no one spoke. The old admiral finally broke the silence. We thought they left us to our fate, but they stayed and changed it. From that day, the galaxy no longer saw humans as troublemakers or enemies. They saw them for what they truly were the ones who stood at the edge of the dark, kept it from swallowing the stars.